What's going on, everybody? Today we are going to dive into map scouting. We always get a lot of questions on how do you look at an aerial photo and then determine what areas you want to scout. So that's what we're looking at today, map scouting. But before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed already, click down below and subscribe, hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything, and make sure to like this video. Let's get started. Before we dive any deeper on this property and look at the map, I want to talk about this piece of public land. It's 180 acres, so it's not very big at all, and the marsh that we're going to be scouting is only 6 acres. It's basically farmland, just a small strip of trees that runs along a creek surrounded by farmland. We actually turkey hunted here earlier this spring, which there's some hunts up here that you can watch, but we haven't really deer hunted it before or even really scouted this side of the property. So we're going to be going in blind. When we look at this map behind me on the computer, that's going to be the first time that we're looking at this map, just like most of you are going to be doing, whether it's a new piece of public land or it's out of state. So I'm going to turn around here and we'll get into the map. When I look at this property, the first place I'm going to is this marsh on this property. It's only 120 acres, so when you're dealing with small properties, small pieces of public land, like we are here in Nebraska, we don't have chunks of public land that are 1,000 acres or 2,000 acres. So you can't just outwalk somebody. So you got to find the spots that people aren't hunting. And a place like this, where it's probably half CRP, half woods, you have to look for those spots that people aren't hunting, and they're not hunting this marsh. If immediately this marsh stands out, people are not going to be hunting in this marsh. One, they probably don't know how, and two, they just don't think big deer are going to be bedding in this area. And when I'm looking at a map, the thing I'm thinking about is this transition line. All the way around here on the edge of this marsh. That's the first thing I'm looking for, is that transition line. And when we get there in person, we're going to walk this transition line. We're just going to come in, and we're going to walk, starting from here, we're just going to walk all the way around this transition line, looking for buck beds. And that's where they're going to be on this marsh. Those beds are going to be on the edge of this marsh. Another thing I'm looking for when you're using aerial maps, especially in like CRP or these marshes, is you can see trails. And you can see a trail right here. Comes this way and leads right back up into here. But you can look at those trails and kind of get an idea of maybe where things are bedding, if they are deer trails. And you can see here that this trail runs right through the middle of the cattails. So most likely this is a deer trail. And it comes from across here where the ag fields are and lead out right here to most likely what's probably a bed at the end of this point. So when I see this and I'm there and I'm scouting, I'm going to go right to this point and see if I can't find a bed in here. And if we scroll up farther, we can see a lot of trails crossing right here into this spot, which makes sense because we have this steep, really steep drop off right here. So nothing's really going to want to come this way and cross and jump down. But right where it flattens out and they can cross, that's where we see these trails coming off. So they can cross right here, just, path of least resistance. But I see these trails here, so again, this is a spot I'm going to mark on my map to go check when I'm there in person. And this finger of trees that sticks out into this marsh, this is what you're looking for right here. Right at the point of this, there's probably a buck bed. He can bed here, and he knows that all of this around here is marsh. Nothing's coming across here, nothing's coming through here. He can probably put his back a little bit to this so he can smell anything, but he knows a lot of this, nothing's walking in this stuff. And if they are, he's going to hear him coming or see him coming, walking through here. He can just stand up on this high ground, survey all this, nothing's there, lay back down. He's got the wind coming from this way, he's going to smell anything out here. But again, this point, just like this one down here, is a point that I'm marking, I'm going to remember, and when we're scouting and we're walking this edge, that's what I'm going to look for. Another thing that I'm looking for in this marshy habitat is lone trees. So we see a lone tree right here. We can see several trails leading to it. Might be a bed right there. We look back in here. See some lone trees here. A tree like this. Some of these trees that are out in the middle of this marsh. Back in here. Those are things you want to look for. Like I said, we could get here, we'll walk this edge, look at some of these trees, and it may not be high enough ground, it might be covered in water, there may not be buck beds there. But just initially on a map, those are things we're looking for. We're going to go back and look at when we put boots on the ground. So it's not too difficult when we look at this property, especially since it's so small, only 6 acres. But it really allows us to be able to teach you guys a lot better because you're not going to be overwhelmed by the size of the property. We can just focus on certain things. What we're looking for is trails in the marsh that you can see from the aerial view. Those might lead you to beds. So look at those, mark those on your map, so when you get there you can walk to those spots. Look for fingers of trees or lone trees that stick out into the marsh, and then walk on the edge of the marsh where this marsh meets up to anything different, whether it be, a terrain feature, CRP grass, or this wood line. So those are the 4 or 5 things that we're focusing on when we're going to go there in the next couple of days when we put boots on the ground and scout it. It's those 4 things. That's what we're looking for. But the only way to know for sure what we're looking at on this map behind me is what's actually out there, is to put boots on the ground. Because we could go there, look at these places that I pointed out on the map, and there may not be buck beds there, there may not be deer sign there, but we could go somewhere else and find beds. So that's why the next time you see me, I'm going to be putting boots on the ground, scouting this marsh, and we're going to point out on the ground in this area the spots that I talked about on this map. So the first thing that we're going to do when we get here, like I said when we were looking at the map, is to walk the edge. So we're here, we got down here, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to take off, walk the edge of this marsh, looking for beds. Well, it did not take long to find a bed. I just walked out here, went to the edge of the marsh, and there's a bed right here. He's right on the edge of the marsh, so he's not back up into the trees farther. He's right here on the edge. So that's our first bed that we found. Didn't take very long to find it. So we've made it down here to the south side of this marsh. Chance just found a bed back here with a rub in it. It's an old rub, but there is a rub in it. Tells you that's probably a buck bed. And we walked a little bit farther, seen this bed right here in this corner. So this is a spot we can probably keep in mind. We know what's down here in this corner. I don't know if they're using these beds now or if they're later when the cover kind of drops off here. Things get a little thin in the woods and they can come here with more cover. But there is a bed here, so it is something we can probably hunt on. It's not too hard to get to either to hang and hunt. So we'll look for more beds and see if we can't find a tree stand or some rubs leading out. So we found another bed right here. It's definitely a bed. There's water on all sides of them. The other beds we found are just back over there. So we got beds over there and beds right here with slightly different winds. It's more of a west wind for those beds and more of a southwest wind for this bed right here. That tree right here is where the other bed that we were just standing at is. You can look down here by chance and you can see he's been eating some of this grass that's here, and there's mulberries in it, and deer will eat those mulberries. And the mulberries here kind of act like acorns do if you're like in Iowa or something. They can lay in the beds, stand up, eat those mulberries, browse on this aquatic vegetation. They don't really have to go very far in the middle of the day. Plus he's got water right out here. You can see some rubs right here on the tree, down there, right there. So it makes me think it is a buck bed. And I guess if we set up on it and does get up, cross it off the list. But looks to me like it's buck bedding. You can see Chance back there, that's where the bed is. And there's an old rub right here. So it makes sense that this is probably buck bedding even more that when we start looking around here and start finding all this other sign that's in here. Now we just gotta try to find the trail that he's leaving on so that we can set up on it. But we've been walking, trying to find one, the trail that leads out from that bed so we know where to set up on, and then 2, a tree that's on that trail. And we found 2 trees that we could set up in. One is pushing it, that's about within 40 yards. Like it's the perfect tree, and it's a tree I really want to get into. It's right off that trail, like I said, 30 yards from the bed. Perfect tree to set up in. And I think we can get in that tree, especially early season. So we can, like I said, this grass is tall enough, we can hug the tree line, we can get to the tree if we go quiet enough and slow enough. But I think climbing up, there's not enough in the way of that tree to that bed. So I think climbing up, he's going to see us. So we can sit here and try it. if we for some reason see him, he goes some different direction, or we sit here and feel like he's probably here, we're just not close enough, then we can push in. So we're gonna probably come in, sit right here in this tree. And the same trail that leads out of that bed keeps coming and comes all the way out here, and we're standing on it right now. So if he gets up and walks this way, he's gonna walk this trail. So we're still on that trail, just a little bit farther away. And we're gonna get in this tree right here, like I said, and we can shoot that trail and some of this stuff around here if he's, you know, cutting through or going that way. So we should be able to see him, see any movement through here. So this is probably gonna be our tree. We'll mark it on our map, and this is where we're gonna come into probably early season for a hang and hunt setup. So willow trees like this, when you're in marshy terrain, just kind of call out buck beds. It's just something about these willow trees that bucks like. There's a bed right here. There's a rub in it. It's a buck bed. This property is only 120 acres. This marsh is only 16 acres. But you find little spots like this where these willow trees are, and there's going to be beds in them. And this is a perfect spot for a buck to bed right here. You can see there's a rub, an old rub, right here on this tree. The buck is bedded right in here. And I'm sure there's more. There might be some right there. There might be another one right there. But it's a little wet in here right now. Maybe when we get farther into October, when things are a little drier in here, they might lay in here more so. But if they feel, if it's a mature buck and he feels like this is the best place to be, he might put up with a little bit of that water to be somewhere safe. But just a perfect spot right here for a buck to bed down. Well, that'll do it for walking the marsh, and we found some spots, most of them being in the places we thought they'd probably be. We checked that strip of trees that runs out right here. There wasn't anything underneath that, but we found beds down in that corner right on the transition of the marsh. We found another one just over here and some willows, and then a spot across here and some willows. Got some good beds underneath it. The best spot's probably down there. But just to review, the things that we looked for today when we were out here was, one, the basic strategy is just to walk the edge of the marsh. So what we're looking for is beds. That's all we're looking for. Walking the edge of that marsh, looking for beds. So it's pretty simple. Your main task is just walk the edge. You don't even have to walk into the trees. Just walk the edge of that marsh, because that's where those buck beds are going to be. Then once you find them, you just figure out what way you think he's leaving and what trails you can set up on and find your trees. So we have trees marked. So we'll probably be back here at least early season for a couple times down that corner, see if there's anything in there, and then maybe a little bit later when the cover gets worse in the timber. But that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, subscribe below. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching.